I have to add this in because you may or may not catch it by looking at the pictures, unless I specifically make the picture in accordance with it, which I'm likely to do. I'm still trying to figure out what the thumbnail picture will be. The sign in the heavens, when taken in its full context from the little Leo to where Venus is with the moon, to where OAKS as Mars with Mercury is, does the same Nile River formation of my flood dream with the sign in the heavens on the 19th. Oops. Oops, I did it again. Travis Wingetzel. Woke up at 2 this morning. Didn't want to wake up at 2 this morning. Nonetheless, kept the lights off, hoping that I would go back to bed. And instead, I'm sitting on the bed. And I'm getting the impression of a death happening today. I'm going, don't tease me like this. Don't you dare tease me like this. And so I wasn't getting to sleep. So, turned on the lights, turned on the computer, did my normal startup routine, saw the signs in the heavens, and noticed that the Leonis Minorids appeared at around 6:30, so in about another hour. Yeah. It's going to be one of those days. So naturally, I went and did some research on Ursa Major and Little Leo. And oops, I did it again. It's the 19th of October today. I warned you I had a dream of bread. We're not done yet. But it hasn't happened. I warned, don't you dare tease me. So, for all of you who are new, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Dear God. I've been on YouTube since 2014. I've got 8.9K videos in total. And still I have to deal with Mormons for the first time. And so instantly they're offended. Instantly they don't understand, and so therefore I'm of the devil. Even though the TV shows and the movies all try to tell people, no, don't jump to that hasty conclusion or judgment. And yet, people still do it. Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12. Joseph Smith adds to this. These are words This is not a spiritual witness feeling. These are words. They're real words. They have definitions. Verse 1, talking about sign in heaven, and there are several of them in this chapter, so it applies to all of them. Signs in heaven in the likeness of things on the earth. The heavens, with the celestial bodies going through the zodiac, are signs in the heavens, called conjunctions. And they gathered together in a particular constellation. Celestial bodies gathered in a constellation. Constellations were therefore designated as things on the earth. There are a growing number of scholars who think that this is anthropomorphizing of the heavens, such as astrotheology. That's all crap. It is insulting to the ancients to say that they were so stupid as to believe that the celestial bodies and the constellations were real. You insult them and debase and demoralize them. They were far more brilliant than we are today. This is where we get the two terms, prophecy and revelation. The likeness of things on the earth are the future predictions. The signs in the heavens are the calendar dates and clock times of the future predictions. This is how we get our calendars. This is how we have our clocks. From astronomy. This is what Joseph Smith is talking about here. It is not astrology. It's astronomy. It's the hard science, not the fake science, which uses psychology, a fake science. No feelings. This is cold, hard facts. Truth. You're supposed to feel good about the truth. Not feel good about your feelings. Call them truth. Very important. Words. They have meaning. They were specifically created. I was concerned I was going to break down and cry this morning when I saw what I saw in my research. Because Paleo-Hebrew emerges. The original creation of our alphabet. Yeah, you're all new, so I have to repeat this information. I'm the decipherer of Paleo-Hebrew. So, rather than tell you that the first sign listed that Joseph Smith moves verse 5 to verse 3 with is the 23rd of September 2017. Verse 4, which is verse 3 in the regular revelation, is 17th of December 2017. The third one, which is in Revelation chapter 12, verse 4, in both, was the 2nd of January 2018. Bye-bye, Monson. Bye-bye. I warned the church in advance. They didn't listen to me other than to change the 70 for Wikipedia to say, if by chance the whole quorum of the 12 are unable to perform their duties, hypothetically, the 70 could then take over. No, you did not understand what I said. It's the fall of the church. Nonetheless, do not tease me. I've been waiting too long for this. So in verse 7, Joseph Smith translation, there's some more additions that are vital for your eternal salvation, in case you're wanting to make an excuse not to listen. So, you have the woman from verse 1. Joseph Smith says that the likeness of things on the earth is Joseph Smith's church, the woman which is the church of God. Is Joseph Smith's church the church of God? Yes. It's not Christianity, it's not the Jews, it's not Islam, it's not Buddhist, Hindu, China, Aztecs, Mayans. No, Joseph's. Joseph Smith is doing this. Joseph Smith says it's his church. So everywhere in scriptures, not just Revelation 12, because they're all prophecy and revelation. What is the Book of Mormon? I just gave you the answer. It's prophecy and revelation. Verse 1 to 3 in the Joseph Smith translation. Verses 1, 2, and 5 in the regular revelation. Yeah, there it is. 1 Nephi chapter 1, verses 8 through 10. Include verse 4 too. That's verse 5. Move to verse 3. 23rd September 2017, starting the Book of Mormon. The start of Lehi's ministry? Huh. Who's Lehi? Oh, he's the man like Moses because he has an Exodus. He's a seer. He's a prophet. He's a revelator. He's a translator of Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian. Any questions? I thought not. This is not complicated. Keep it simple. Don't go beyond the mark with the falsehoods that you've been programmed with all your life. Stick to the word. Do not go beyond it. So, where there's a woman, there's the church. So, out of the church is the sign. For those of you who are historians of church history, what happened on the 23rd of September 2017? I'll give you a hint. It was a Saturday. It was the week before General Conference. It was the first time and last time this ever occurred, because Monson made the change. Relief Society finally was included as part of General Conference. And so on the church's website for the conference talks, they then retroactively included all of the women's sessions for both the March and the September times to be part of General Conference. The church. Joseph Smith's church. Okay? Are we set? Do you understand? You're not making excuses to throw in Christianity. Keep it simple. Woman equals church. You can even go to Ephesians. As the wife is to the husband, so the church is to Jesus. Okay? Well, it's not Jesus. I told you not to use Christianity. It was a trap. The woman gives birth to the Christ. She brought forth the kingdom of our God and his Christ. She gives birth to the Christ. The Church of Joseph Smith gives birth to the Christ. It's not Jesus, is it? 23rd September 2017, the start of the ministry of a Mormon, who is the Mormon Christ, only for Mormons. I still have that video yet to do. It's been sitting here for several days. I know, this just shattered your belief system. I told you, don't use spiritual witness feelings. Word. Focus on the word. It needs to be correctly translated, correctly interpreted, correctly defined. This is the Joseph Smith translation. Technically revision. Nonetheless, there's added information here. Don't focus on the plagiarisms that have the errors from the King James Version of the Bible. Focus on the new stuff. Woman is the church. She, Joseph Smith's church, on the 23rd of September 2017, a Mormon who is the Christ of Mormons, starts his ministry only to Mormons. So, Jupiter, the man-child, is the Mormon Christ. Now there's a dragon here. Ooh. Dragon would be the head of the great and abominable church. But we'll reinforce Joseph Smith from section 103, verses 15 through 18. Behold, I say unto you the redemption of Zion, the church, the kingdom. Church is to become the kingdom in the millennium, with the Mormon, who's the Christ, who's a man like Moses. The Jewish Christ, Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Joseph Smith history, verse 40. Joseph Smith even says he's our Christ. Here we go again. Redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Therefore I will raise up, plagiarizing Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 through 19, the Jewish Christ, unto my people. Any confusion about who Joseph Smith is referring to with my people? The church. A man, the Christ. A Mormon, who shall lead Mormons like as Moses, the Jewish Christ, who's a seer, prophet, revelator, translator of Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian, because nobody obeyed the word of verse 22 in section 107. For Mormons are the children of Israel, church, and of the seed of Abraham. Seed goes into woman, egg, to produce babies. Abraham, the husband of the church. the founder, Joseph Smith, with the church to produce Mormons. And a Mormon is to be the Christ. Keep it simple. And ye must needs be led out of bondage. Oh crap. Yeah, Moses wasn't the head of the church. Pharaoh was. Moses told Pharaoh to let Mormons go. Pharaoh said no. The great and abominable church, holding Mormons in bondage, yoking them to Jesus. Did you never listen to Nelson's conference talks? You missed all my videos on it. So there's two churches. And that should have instantly had the Spirit tell you about 1 Nephi chapter 14, verse 10, right? Nephi's Tree of Life vision about the latter days, and that apostle of the Lamb named John. He said unto me, the angel in the dream, to Nephi, behold, there are saved two churches. The one church is the church of the Lamb of God. The other is the church of the devil. Whoso belongeth not to the church of the Lamb of God belongeth to the church, the great church, which is the mother of abominations, and she is the whore of all the earth. So it's some other church, right? Holding Mormons in bondage to their church? No. Again, the woman is the church, Joseph's church. So anywhere there's a church, it's still Joseph. It's the woman. She gives birth to the Christ, but it was run by a usurper, a false Christ, a false prophet. The great and abominable church is the church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The church of the Lamb is Joseph's church that is raped. The abomination of desolation of the Greeks. And what they did to the Jerusalem temple. It wasn't just bacon on the altar. It was prostitution in the temple. So what does the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints do under Brigham Young? Yep, changes the temple rituals and starts prostituting Mormon women. You have to pay to go to the temple. Section 119, forged document. So yes, there's a whole bunch more from that. The whore of all the earth, the mother of abominations, because this is all visionary. There's a whole bunch more stuff involved, but focus from the beginning of your knowledge that I've just given you to keep it simple. So yes, the Mormon who's your Christ has a Mormon for a mother. And yep, she, being a Mormon of the great and abominable church, is prostituted. Raped. Just like that Mary of Jesus. Because again, she's the church, not just the mother of the Mormon. There's a whole bunch of stuff about all of this. This is necessary for you for what we are going to be talking about, because I was woken up at 2. Alright, so where's the woman fleeing into the wilderness? Oh, there it is, verse 6. I probably should go to Joseph Smith translation, which they move it to verse 5 as a result of combining 3 and 4 together. But moving verse 5, it should have still been. Verse 5 now, instead of verse 6. The woman, the church, fled into the wilderness. Oh, Deseret, huh? She has a child in her womb for the future. Joseph Smith is murdered, and she flees into the wilderness, pursued by the murderer. So, it's not 1,203 years. That has something else to do with something else. We will not get into that. We do not want to confuse you beyond what you're already concerned with, and you're wanting some excuse to find some scripture to prove this is all false. Church is true, Travis. It's true. You're mean. Where? This comes from the Egyptian documents, by the way. You know, the Book of Mormon, verse 2, 1 Nephi. Writing in the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. In the language of the Egyptians, there's the story of Isis, the wife of Osiris, using the Greek terms for the names. Osiris is murdered by his brother Set. Isis gathers the body back from Beirut, Lebanon, to, oh my God, there's so much stuff that would need to be explained, but we gotta keep it simple for you. Remember Paleo-Hebrew and those Phoenicians? Yeah. So any of you who know about this information, there's your extra bonus tip for you. And so she brings him back to Heliopolis, the Sun City, because he's Father Amun, Emmanuel, Sun God at noonday, Emmanuel, and he is restored to life. Set finds out, murders him a second time. This time he chops up his body into 14 pieces. Other documents later on say 42 for the 42 provinces, nomes of Egypt. 14. But in the context of 42, understand that it's the church. government of the church. Osiris, the husband. And tosses the body again into the Nile River, goes up into the Mediterranean, carries all over the world now, not just to Beirut, Lebanon. So ISIS again sends out her servants, the missionaries, to gather, not convert them where they are, to gather scattered Israel. It's the 12 tribes of Israel, Travis, not 14. Oh my God. Joseph, double portion, ringing any bells? Birthright blessing son? Usurped it from Reuben? Judah, Simeon, Levi? Because of Rachel? The 2 churches? Hello? Keep up. And so he has Ephraim and Manasseh. You know, the Book of Mormon, Manasseh for Lehi, Ishmael for Ephraim. And they had a daughter, Dinah. Dan in the feminine. Did you read my video yesterday, or were you too busy putting a thumbs down on it? And she is raped by the Shechemites, technically the prince. And so yes, this is where certain sons of the undesirable wife lose the birthright and blessing. As there's circumcision involved and murder. Has revenge. And Shechem has multiple stuff, and that's part of what would be discussed also in the Jesus only comes to the Jews, and then they are utterly destroyed. Because they didn't want to listen to him. And so 14, do the math. So sure enough, the body parts are restored except for the one male piece that's distinct from women. Remember, seed and egg? So Isis, the wife, the church, makes the phallus, hovers over as a bird, and is impregnated, conceived immaculately. 23rd September 2017. Start of the ministry. Everybody is gathered back. The body and blood of Osiris is gathered together and impregnates the wife, the church, for the coming of the Mormon, who's the Christ. Sacrament, bread and wine, water, the body and blood of Christ. Well, it's not actually Christ, it's the Father on it, who died for you, Joseph Smith, the founder. But yeah, he's a Christ too. The Jews call him Messiah ben Joseph, Joseph of Egypt. Messiah ben David, Messiah ben Joseph. Messiah ben Joseph precedes Messiah ben David, preparing the church for the coming of Messiah ben David. The Jews still think it's them because Constantine, with his first creed, turn the Jewish prophecies and revelations into literal histories. And so now Jesus appears as the Christ. No. Okay? So she flees into the wilderness because Seth found out she restored the body. Ta-da. So the ancient Egyptians have Horus raised up in the wilderness and comes back to restore the kingdom with his right eye being plucked out by his uncle Set. The two eyes of Horus are the sun and the moon. Plucking out is a darkening of the eye, an eclipse of the sun. Thus, moon, eclipse of the moon. The two together, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses are both involved. Sun and the moon. Thus, the shield, the shield of David, not just the star, which is the moon. An eclipse, a solar eclipse, because remember, Emmanuel is the sun god at noonday. Eclipse. That's his sign. Solar eclipses. The ancient Egyptians are giving you the calendar date and clock time for the coming of the Christ to start his ministry. But it's not the 23rd of September 2017. It's the 21st of August 2017. In Leo, the lion, the king constellation, with the king star, apostolic interregnum, Regulus. Yep. It makes its appearance in the first sign given in Revelation 12. 3 additional planets added to Leo's 9 stars, all lined up by Regulus. This was the new year of the ancient Egyptians in their religious calendar. I dropped my jaw, just as I did on November 4th, 2016, when Fox 13 News Utah told me it was going to happen. I already knew this stuff. Being born and raised Mormon, I wanted to know when the latter days was. President Benson told me I'm the youth of the noble birthright, and that 3 decades from October 2016 would start the latter days. But the Constitution would fall in Washington. Huh. Okay? Those of you who have been following me and you know all this stuff, you're hopefully laughing. Like I am. Hopefully. Nonetheless. See, we're already at 40 minutes for an intro. Didn't even get to the dream. Or, not the dream. The research from the sign in the heavens this morning. Alright. So, the scattering and gathering of Israel all plays a part. So, Let's go over the sign in the heavens this morning. Because at first I noticed that the moon is by Venus. And so as I moved it forward in time to get everything centered to take the snapshot, I noticed that Leonis Minorids suddenly appeared. Suddenly the wheels are in motion, and Mars and Mercury are pretty much even, as they're starting to fall from the top of judgment. Did you miss those videos where Mars was at the top of the scales of judgment on Tuesday? Now last week. Yep, the transfer of authority from Nelson to Mars was official, and there it was. OAKS is now Mars. Nelson's dead. You can't put Nelson as Mars anymore. He's dead. The transfer of authority has been made. It's now OAKS. Mars is OAKS. Sign in the heaven, Mars, in the likeness of things on the earth. OAKS. See how Joseph Smith is so true? Mercury, by the way, is iron. But also generally as messenger, a message. So there's a message about OAKS. The moon is there on the shoulders, nearing the breast, but still on the shoulders, with Venus. It is falling, and soon will be new with the sun. Remember eclipses? This is when eclipse would normally take place, but we already had it this year. Twice. Which is common. You probably missed those videos. So yes, yesterday, or Friday, the sun was at the Bethlehem star. Oh, you thought it was still literal history. You didn't believe me, did you? The house of bread. Remember, I had a dream of bread, for those of you who've been following, and who do not believe still, because the others believe. But there are those unbelievers who stalk me. They know I had a dream of bread, and they still don't believe. Never mess with a seer. Never mess with the ancient Jews. So, yeah, there's 3 falling stars in Aries now. The sacrificial ram-lamb constellation. Andromedids are still there. Clash of the Titans, guys. Clash of the Titans. She's the woman that was tied up to the rocks where the Kraken came. Release the Kraken! Save me! So yes, Double Dragon, the arcade game. When you get to the end on 1/4, you enter into this cavern, and after defeating the guy using the backward elbow the whole way, hint, hint, I don't know if they even have the arcade games. I would really like to have it for Zion. Nonetheless, there's the woman that you see chained up. You know, like King Kong, the woman is chained up. Oh, yay, abuse. by monkeys. And then he goes amok in New York City. It's all fun and games until somebody brings a monkey. So yeah, Andromeda. That's who she is. So the Orionids are soon to be at their peak. That's Osiris from the Egyptians. It's Orion, as we understand it, with the belt of Orion pointing to Sirius, the dog star. We have seen his star in the east. People think that those wise men are the three belt stars of Orion, pointing to Sirius for his birthday and Christmas. No, because the dog star makes an appearance in my research this morning, or the dog constellation, actually. The little bear. Little bear. Okay? So the church is the woman, Virgo. The government, shoulders. And the government shall be upon his shoulders. Wonderful Counselor. Mars is OAKS. He's the government of the church now. Venus, also female. The wife of Mars. The church. So which church is the church of the Lamb, and which church is the great and abominable church of the devil of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? With the inverted pentagram of Lucifer on the keystone of the doors of the headquarters temple, Salt Lake City. Yeah, Venus is the great and abominable church, with the falling moon. On the shoulders. The fall of the great and abominable church. That doesn't mean it's the church today that falls. It doesn't mean that OAKS dies. We have to wait. Do not tease me. After what I later learned last November, 2020 and 2021 were a test run for Armageddon by OAKS. It got leaked. And so in 2022 and 2023 and even into 2024, I'm seeing all these signs in the heavens. I'm going, is this going to mean something? Is there going to be a likeness of things on the earth? Not all the time. Very frustrating for me. And I didn't understand why. Until last November. Oh, 2020 and 2021 were just a test run. Crap. So yes, now it's it. And so far, I'm on a roll. Because I had a bread dream. All fear and tremble. Bow before the bread. I guess I need to repeat it, even though I should be. I need to put this picture back in for you. I had a dream waking up on the 10th of August, 2025, after the full moon on the 9th. And in the dream, it was just a simple thing. It was just like the picture, but just the bread, not the guys making the bread. In which, actually they're women. Yeah, I see PRES. He could still be a guy, but there's no goatee. So it could be a boy, but it could be breast there, sort of covered up. But this is a recreation of a scene from the tombs that a person did. So they're a little shy about female body parts. So yeah, these are women actually. Because I see how, yeah, these are all women. They're making bread. So the church, bread, Virgo, house of bread, bread making. Egyptian hieroglyph for bread appeared in my mind as I woke up. 4 loaves. So cool. I found that very picture that morning when I had the dream. Perfect. And so doing the research on it, what the hell does that mean? 4 loaves of Egyptian hieroglyphic bread? Crap, now I gotta do research. So I'm searching all over, came to Judges 19. What's the date again today? Oh, the 19th? Huh. So Judges chapter 19, Judges 19, fair and tremble the bread. To summarize it, not go over it again for you, there's a Levite. Who is Moses a descendant of? Levi. He's a Levite. Not a Danite in the story of Samson, for example. And a Levite concubine plays the harlot. Now, concubine is the servant to the wife. So both Leah and Rachel had, it is Rachel, right? Yeah, Rebecca was, yeah, had concubines, servants, to help them. They're like midwives, but they're there all the time. And so the midwives also are involved with giving birth to the children of the master of the house. In the stories, remember, these are not literal histories. Don't forget. Don't lose track. Don't allow the false programming to creep out of your brain. Get rid of it. Starting all over. Keep it simple. Church. 2 churches. Concubine and the wife. Concubine plays the harlot. Well, she's the one who gets raped. Or the great and abominable church, who's the whore of all the earth. And she returns to her father. Her husband takes her back, and they lodge overnight in Gibeah. The men of Gibeah accuse his concubine, abuse his concubine, because she was a harlot. I was actually thinking about this yesterday from what I had, not sure what led up to it, but yeah, with the internet, Christians are screaming porn all over the place. And it was the news, that's where. When a person is looking for it was also Equalizer. The daughter was also wanting to get into college, And because she had been arrested for protesting, they said, well, we don't want your kind at our school. So yes, it's the same thing for doing OnlyFans or whatever on the internet, making money that way, is that if a job does the background check on you and finds out that you were a person doing a site, especially, it was also in the news last month, I think, where a Christian found out that one of the people in their congregation was on that site. How did they know? And they told other people? Nonetheless, she was ostracized. Excommunicado. That always was strange for me about all the anti-Mormons who don't conform and comply to the church that get accused for downloading child porn. Well, who found out they had child porn on their home computer if it wasn't because of cyber hacking? That dismisses the case, or it should. But yeah, in Utah, it's not legitimate that people are getting framed and blamed to be disappeared in black site locations here in Utah. The airport director of Salt Lake City, for example, Randall Berg, he's gone. We have no idea what happened to him. He never had a trial. He was accused, locked up, gone. His life over. He's gone. Never had a trial, never been found guilty, gone. Accused. Because supposedly somebody hacked his system to find porn to get him out of the way so that Herbert can put in a more compliant director who would open up the airport to murder people. Nonetheless, I'm tangenting. So, now that she's dead, murdered, and raped by the men of Yahweh, the Levite cuts her body into 12 pieces this time. See how it's similar but different? And sends them to the tribes of Israel, who are scattered. See how it all ties together when you keep it simple? Don't look beyond the mark. Look for patterns. The great and abominable church dies, falls. The call goes out to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered. Yep, that Feast of Tabernacles for the house of Israel is next month. We had the one for Judah this month. The people of Judah didn't want to listen. They lost their second estate. And so, yes, you got Bethlehem, Judah here. Verse 1. Told you, fear the bread. There's 4 nights refusing to go on the 5th night. Okay, 19. So, 9 days later, Well, the 4 I also assumed originally had to do with moons, but I couldn't figure that out yet. And so yeah, that was a later. I did the scripture thing first, rather than going over the moons. But as I found out, the first bread was the new moon on the 23rd of August, which was called a black moon since 2016. It's the extra moon in a season in this particular case. The second bread was Nelson's birthday, a lunar eclipse. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. It's coming. It's coming. Bye-bye. Then the third moon. The first moon, by the way, was in Leo at Regulus, reminiscent of the 2017 one. The second one was at the Waters, and I believe that's when the flood is coming. With the flood dream that I had also, I have to check. When was my flood dream? When was my flood dream? Flood dream, 19th. Yep. Yeah. Oops. I need to have this up too. Because, yeah, that was September. Yep. You guys just, you don't believe, and so you don't want to accept the consequences. So, 19th of August. I have the flood dream. With its accompanying sign in the heavens that morning when I went for my run. And yep, the moon was falling. Just incredible. And thus the Nile River. The whole thing has to do with the whole thing. We'll try to keep it simple, not get involved. We're over an hour now. Alright. So. Oh my God. So yeah, the 19th, the flood dream, corresponds with the flood sign for Nelson's birthday. Yep. 9 days later, on the 19th, Judges 19. I didn't realize it was all gonna be significant for the numbers until just now. So, before the third bread, which was at the head for the solar eclipse of Virgo, we had a sign in the heavens. I made a pretty little picture and a pretty little prophecy. Bye-bye, Nelson. Bye-bye. Mars aborts. 19th of September. Having previously watched Andor earlier, that previous month or something like that, Star Wars was still on my mind, and it was this morning, as that was the Andor Season 2 wedding supper feast song that I ran to this morning. That was what I was inspired to listen to, and then yeah, when I got back, that's when this sign in the heavens popped up. I went, oh yeah, Andor, that's what, oh yeah, yep, the Force is with me. Force is with me this morning. You better not be teasing me. And so yeah, it's about that time when the Leonids appear. We haven't gotten to it yet. We're still doing intro stuff. God. I don't want to be doing intro stuff. I should just be able to jump right into the Leonids, or whatever they're called, and just go from there. But nope. Most of the people are new, and they've already left. God. Just admit it. You failed your judgment. We're waiting for destruction. Here we go. Here we go. And so yeah, the moon was in conjunction with Venus at the top for a triangle. The Regulus, yeah, king star, thus the king crown of northern Egypt, was why I put that in there. And then the second Death Star, second, not the first, second. That's no moon, that's a space station. Yep. So yeah, there was Trump originally. I was merging government and religion together in the signs in the heavens for you. Because yes, Trump is King Zedekiah, who was put on the throne in 2017. Remember 1 Nephi chapter 1? Did you forget already? He too is a part of all of this. So very interesting, because the government version of all of this would, well, Trump is Mercury, but at the same time he would be Mars, so Trump would also be doing something today too. They're not doing the protest again today, are they? It was just yesterday? Because he shouldn't be doing anything today. There shouldn't be a message from him today, but he does messages all the time, every time. But we're talking about an official message. What are you up to today, Trump? But we're not focusing on that. I want the fall of the church so I can get to Zion. But Trump is going to help facilitate this as the government leader. Nonetheless. So yes, went over the other sign. Well, yeah, I went closer and closer in the POV, I guess it's called, point of view, zooming in. So yes, that's why the church, section 85, verse 7, for the one mighty and strong. He's the Mormon Christ. Remember? So verse 8 is the false prophet, the false Christ, who's supposed to fall. struck by lightning, warned him not to touch the Ark of the Covenant in the Syracuse temple. He didn't listen. Did not listen. All right. So what's next here? And so then third bread, head of Virgo, that was the Jewish New Year. 21st of September 2017. Do you remember the 21st night, September 1823? Yeah. And so 202 years. So yes, my dream back in December 2014, yeah, about moving to an apartment, and it was the wrong place, and so I moved to the other apartment, 202. That's like 101 for Monson and Nelson's death. The same time. And they intentionally did not give us the exact time of Nelson's death because of that. Because they knew I had done it. I called it out. Shortly after 10, Nelson died. Hilarious. And so the fourth one was the start of Tabernacles. The Jewish Exodus. Tents, ingathering, harvest. And Mormons failed. They did not believe. But it was prophesied. Yeah, this was on the back of the white horse in Pisces. As from that start, for the 3 days, passed over the dry land, parting the waters. Because for Passover this year, I did the whole thing about the sun parting the waters of Pisces. For Passover, from the start to the end of Passover, the sun parted and passed through on dry ground. It's awesome. But even though this is not a test run, they still kept failing. They were trying last year and this year. They keep failing. You never thanked me. And so those 3 falling stars are in Pisces, and now they're in Aries this morning. And that was a super moon for that day. Full super moon, no eclipse, just like the black moon that started it. Black moon was the new moon, super moon for the full moon to finish us off. The 4 loaves of bread. Yep, right after conference. And so the viewing of Nelson was that day, wasn't it? No, yeah, 27, yeah, viewing. And 17 days later, then they decided to make OAKS the president of the church. They could have been doing that to mock me, but evil never gets it. Because the whole Book of Mormon was written exposing that these evil people are using the Bible calendar dates and clock times to coordinate their self-fulfilling prophecy of Armageddon. That's why they're doing it when they're doing it. 200 years they've been plotting and planning this. And OAKS got leaked in 2020 and said, yeah, it's the church of the devil. We're the ones doing it. So technically today is day 5 of Nels Oakes' reign as Mars. I destroyed him on 3 days with the Boise Rescue. If you don't want people to know stuff, you gotta shut your mouth. Oakes, come on. Come on. So, August 19th, September 19th, and here we are, October 19th. I have no idea why 19. Doesn't make any sense, other than the pattern. But Judges 19 is the best that I can come up with. And so yes, you really need to fear and tremble on this, because you rejected me. So the new moon is on the 21st. And then the first quarter on the 29th. Had to get those. The Orionids also with the new moon are peaking. That's way over by Orion, but is a warning message being given to you of the fall. So yeah, right here at this time, the fall of the church is coming. So even though it's the sign in the heavens for it, I'm not wanting to be teased any further. Don't you dare! Don't you dare! Okay, I think that's it. Now we can go to the research I did this morning. That's Ursa Minor, which really doesn't have anything to do with the sign in the Leonids. Because Ursa Minor is hiding underneath the dragon. Bye-bye, old Monson. Bye-bye. I tried to warn you. You didn't listen. You didn't listen. Okay, so that's Minor. So most of the Ursa Minor stuff I'll just cover briefly, but don't try to force it because that doesn't apply. What applies is the woman who's the church, the big bear. That's what you need to focus on here, because the Leonid Minorids appeared at her back paw. Falling stars. So, again, the pattern match. Thou shalt have power to bruise his heel, but he shall have power to crush thy head. Heel, Achilles. Achilles' heel dies. Come on, Brad. Seriously? Brad Pitt and Troy? Achilles. Yeah, he gets shot in the ankle. And Quaku. Dear God. He's in a debate live on YouTube. And he thinks he's going to be clever to show how the Troy is just a fantasy. It's not real. Quaku. We found Troy. It's real. They made a movie out of it with Brad Pitt as Achilles. Based on finding it. Oops. Should have done more research, Quacker. Should have done more research. It would have helped if you accepted my gift of translator for you. You threw it away. Trying to help you out. Trying to help you out. Okay. And so it's also at the tail of little Leo. So first we'll go over Ursa Major, because she's mama. She's the woman. Her original name is Castillo. In the Greek theology. So she was raped by Zeus. Judges 19, remember? The concubine, not the wife, Hera. The concubine is raped. She gives birth to the little bear. But she is not a bear yet. She gives birth to the son OAKS, bread maker. Even though his constellation is Booz, which is over by Arcturus star. There it is, growing. The little bear fighting the dragon is also him. The sun. So the church of the lamb that is raped is Callisto. She gives birth to the Christ, the Mormon, the bread maker. Signs in heavens, dreams, Judges 19. She is raped. Hera is furious. And turns them into bears. That's why the Ursa Major and Minor, the bears. Hera is the great and abominable church with the false prophet. So Zeus plays a double role here. When he's the husband of Hera, he's the great and abominable church prophet. When he's the rapist of the woman, he's Father Amen. And Zeus is Yah, by the way, in Paleo-Hebrew, pictorially matching from Paleo-Hebrew. The Latin name of Arcus is Wayne. A horse-drawn cart. I already knew from other connections that that's his middle name, the same name as his father. 2 Nephi, chapter 3. 15. Joseph has the same name as Joseph of Egypt and the same name as his father, Joseph, Messiah ben Joseph. So, to go over Ursa Minor, even though this doesn't apply to the sign in the heavens, but does in the sense that it's about the Mormon. But the fall or the sign does not apply to the Mormon. It applies to the Great and Abominable Church. That's what you need to understand. So, Ursa Minor, Little Bear, Arcus, who is the bread maker, who has the name Wayne, for Wagoneer. There's a reason why I give you my full name every video in the title. Because you'll notice that the title page in the video does not match the title of the video all the time. It's because there's only so much space. Ocular cavities are leaking. So, he's also known as the dog's tail, Senosura. Greek is a little bit different pronunciation. It's technically Kinosura rather than Senosura. Like cherubim? No, cherubim. That difference in phonetics. But I don't care. It's the picture spelling that matters, because that gives the meaning. So yes, I could, or not. Oh, God. And so he's called the Wagon of Heaven, because his tail has Polaris and circles around. He's used by the Phoenician sailors, the ones who invented Paleo-Hebrew. Phoenician, the same. I'm glad this is when most people are not watching. No, I can't see. Hebrew. Nobody can figure out what it means. Nobody can figure out who they were in literal history. It's because they didn't decipher Paleo-Hebrew. It's got the sun. That's the age. Oh, God. So he's the man god. That's the other two characters. Just summarize it for you without going into it in detail. Like I said, I'm not. So yes, his sign is the sun god at noonday, the Wagoneer. He who is from the crossroads of the sun god at noonday, the Wagoneer. Travis Wayne Goodsoul. God soul. And so the sign in Paleo-Hebrew from Isaiah right before the 23rd of September 2017 about Emmanuel is the crossroads on the earth of when his ministry to Mormons is. The 3 solar eclipses, where X marks the spot for Zion. And because they don't know, they at least put it in. Thank you. Because let me explain it for you then. There's a story that they call a myth. It's a prophecy, you dumbass. About 2 bears, or was it the 2 bears? Or I think it was the bear. Just the one bear, because I have bear. Saves Zeus, who would be his father, on Mount Utah. Ida, as you'll read it. It's phonetically the same as Utah, phonetically the same as Judah, but not Judah, Utah. I caught it. Why didn't the scholars? And so in this particular case, Zeus is Joseph Smith, where the future Mormon is restoring Joseph Smith's church in Utah, Bethlehem, 23rd September 2017. He is also designated as Septentrio, which in Latin means north. So septem, 7, for the 7 stars that make up his body, as little bear, and then trions, which means oxen, ox carts, ox wagons. Wagoneer with oxen driving them. So the 7 oxen are driving the plow for bread maker. The gatherer. At the start of the ministry, he's plowing. At the end of his ministry, he's harvesting. And the 7 stars of Ursa Minor. And so yes, it's associated with Tishri, 7th month. Today is the 7th day from the 7th day of Sukkot. Tabernacles. Those of you who have been following know about my transfer of authority dreams. Hinckley, Monson, Irene. Not Oaks, not Holland, Irene? Interesting. 7s and 8s were in those. So that's only specific for me. So yeah, 23rd September 2017. So back to the sign in the heavens this morning. Leo the Minor. Leonis Minorids. The Lesser Lion. The Babylonians, Greeks do not have anything on this. It was Chinese astronomy, not astrology. They have that too. Not astrology, astronomy. They call the little lion the court of the judge. Oaks is now the judge of the great and abominable church of Jesus Christ. It's considered the celestial dragon. In case you didn't know about China, they are into dragons. But it's the state chariot wagon. I'm able to make the connections. He is the mediator in the court of the judge. So, there's a whole bunch of scriptures now to go over for mediator. I told you, now that OAKS is the president of the church, it's all about law and judgment. Former prosecutor, former Utah Supreme Court Justice. Judges. Samson, the judge, the Sun King. Danite. Judge. So the first one we have is Ephesians, doing them in Mormon order, quad order. Chapter 1, verse 10. Oh, mediator. Oops. There was something I found when I was going over mediator. So I'm jumping the gun here. 2 Nephi chapter 2, right before chapter 3. Kind of important to know that. Well, yeah, obviously, Travis. No, you don't understand. If you didn't listen to me before about Messiah ben Joseph, yeah. 26 to 28 talks about the mediator. And it's important to understand in context before you get to chapter 3. Remember, he's the Mormon. And the Messiah, and this is after 25, by the way, Adam fell. That man might be. Notice who's missing there? Women. I got booted out of the church, not excommunicated, chased out, shunned. We don't shun in my ward. Whatever. Bleep you. I am not taking down my YouTube video that Adam fell. Just because the prophets can't follow the Book of Mormon. So, the Messiah cometh in the fullness of time. Now, if you do meridian of time, this confuses you because the church only focuses on meridian of time and ignores fullness of time. And we'll just say, well, yeah, the second coming of Jesus. No. The meridian of time is in the middle of the latter days. For the Exodus year of 2020, which instead became a test run. The bleeping hell. A test run? I was on a roll that year. Pharaoh said no. I will not let you go, let me go. Okay. Fullness of the time is the latter days, specifically the end of the latter days. It can apply to both. That he may redeem the children of men from the fall. Adam fell. Spiritual and physical death, as we call it. Who died? Joseph Smith was murdered. His church usurped by Brigham Young. Fled into the wilderness, fleeing the country. taking the church, polygamy, altering the temple, touching the altar of the Ark of the Covenant. Naughty, naughty. Verse 8. Lightning strikes again. When the lightning strikes again. Do not tease me on this. I don't want this video going longer than it already is. I notice now that we're all supposed to have Windows 11, that they've purposely made my system not work as well. This is an extortion threat to incentivize me to upgrade or pay for an all-new system. Can't do it. You know I can't do it. Still recording, right? Yeah. Seriously? Yeah, no. I told you not to tease me. Sunday, they're not working on Sunday, but typically they'd be called in to do a special thing to put in. Tease me. Don't do it. And because they are redeemed from the fall, they have become free forever. Not in bondage. Knowing good from evil. To act for themselves and not to be acted upon. By spiritual witness feeling bondage, save it be by the punishment of the law at that great and last day. What is the punishment of the great and last day? Judges 19. Did you forget already? According to the commandments of God, which God hath given. Wherefore, yeah, we go to 28. Wherefore, men are free according to the flesh, and all things are given them which are expedient unto men. And they are free to choose liberty and eternal life through the great mediator of all men, the Messiah. Or to choose captivity and death, according to the captivity and power of the devil. 2 churches of Mormonism. For he seeketh that all men might be miserable like unto himself. Is it depression that you're taking the tardive dyskinesia drugs for, Oaks? Is that what it is? Are you depressed? Why are you depressed? Is it because of the drugs? Still having daddy issues? Of the abuse they did to your mom? And you think that she was to blame? Shame on you, Oaks. And now, my sons, I would that ye should look to the great mediator and hearken unto his great commandments. who is supposed to be the author of the 10 Commandments? Seriously, you're going out this morning too? Well, at least you're not peeing at my window yet. Getting in his car. Moses. The Messiah, the Mormon, is the man like Moses. This is what they're telling you here in the Book of Mormon. His great commandments, the 10 Commandments. Him, the man like Moses. Deuteronomy chapter 5, not just Exodus 20. Deuteronomy is the law. Exodus is the story form. And be faithful unto his words, and choose eternal life according to the will of his Holy Spirit in Zion. Freedom is life. Agency is life. Knowing the correct church from the false church, good and evil. Being born into the great and abominable church, but having the Book of Mormon so that you would read the words to know of the coming of the Mormon, so that you wouldn't be deceived. And so then the next chapter, chapter 3, verse 5. This should now make sense to you guys. Like I was confused as a child reading this going, wait a minute. Question, Oaks? For Joseph truly saw our day, Joseph of Egypt. This is Lehi talking to his son Joseph. And he obtained a promise of the Lord that out of the fruit of his loins, Messiah ben, son of Joseph, Lord God would raise up, just like Deuteronomy 18, verse 15 through 19, the man like Moses, the Messiah ben David, a righteous branch unto the house of Israel, Joseph and the church, not the Messiah, but a branch which was to be broken off, nevertheless to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord, that the Messiah should be made manifest unto Mormons of Joseph Smith's church in the latter days, on the 23rd of September 2017 to start his ministry. The fullness of times, the meridian of time being 2020, the Exodus year, the Jubilee year, when he's 50 years old, etc., 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 to bring them out of dark. Tell me we're not going to Hanukkah this year. Do not piss me off. That's when we're supposed to be in Zion, right? Cannot take any more extensions. It's driving me crazy. You drive me crazy. I know it's true. They're all excited. I'm in too deep. All crazy. And I feel alright. Baby, thinking of you keeps me up all night. I just started a different Britney song. Oh my God. Yeah, Hanukkah is the 15th to the 22nd of December this year. And so the 25th to the 22nd in the Jewish calendar. Kislev into Tibet. 5786. After we just had the new year of 5785. 5 days, 7s and 8s. You know, I see what's going on. I sees. All right. So yeah, the rest of the scriptures are fullness of time stuff. If we were to go over them, there's some key things in section 27. Christ and his servants from all dispensations are to partake of the sacrament. What is the sacrament for again? Emblems to be used in partaking of the sacrament are set forth. Put on the whole armor of God. Shield. But verse 13, unto whom, verse 12, also with Peter, James, and John, whom I have sent unto you, by whom I have ordained you and confirmed you to be apostles. It's not the key of Moses, is it? And as special witnesses of my name, and bear the keys of your ministry. Which keys? Not Moses's, Peter's. And of the same things which I revealed unto them. Unto whom I have committed the keys of my kingdom and the dispensation of the gospel for the last times. It is not to rule as the keys of Moses. That's the head of the church. This is Peter. They don't want to admit this. It's to preach the gospel, to plow for the latter days, for the fullness of times, and a dispensation of the gospel for the last times. That's what Joseph Smith was all about, preparing the world for the coming, to convert those to join Mormonism for the Mormon Christ who is coming, in relation to the sacrament. That's why the sacrament is here with the preaching of the gospel from the Book of Mormon. For the last times, in the which I will gather together in one, not convert you scattered to the church to pay money. That gets gathered in one. The money gets gathered, not the members. Both which are in heaven and which are on earth. The restoration of Joseph's church. So I thought that was hilarious. And then section 112, verse 30. Yeah. For unto you the 12, and those, the first presidency, are who are appointed with you to be your counselors and your leaders. Is the power of this priesthood given for the last days and for the last time, in which is the dispensation of the fullness of times. The keys of the dispensation which you have received come down from the fathers. Last of all, heaven to you. Cleanse your hearts and garments. I am Alpha and Omega. This was Omega in Paleo-Greek. The Egyptian sun with a circle in the middle. And those are Brigham Young's forged documents. Section 138 is the dream of Joseph Fielding's my senior. Put into 138, right? Yeah. But it's interesting how he's trying to twist it to deceive. But you know, because they're talking about baptisms for the dead, which is not the intention. You're not supposed to take it literally. Church. Focus on the church. So, there, we're done. Got it under 2 hours. Whew. Alrighty.